Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. This is part 2 of a previous video when I said that my Triumph Scrambler 400X wouldn't sell. And based on lots and lots of comments, people are saying that I'm advertising it for too much or expecting too much. So, in all honesty, it's advertised for 4,600 and it's a year and a half old and still has half a year's warranty, Triumph warranty. And whilst it's advertised for 4,600, I'd probably take 4,200. Okay. But lots and lots of people are still saying that I'm advertising it for far too much. Yeah, ironically, wish I could have been up. Oh, hang on a second. Someone's interested in the bike. Just let me come back to you. Sorry. Yes. So, going back to the Triumph 400X, people are saying that I should expect much less money. Ironically, 2 years ago or thereabouts, maybe a year and a half ago, I released a video. I can't find it and I'm not particularly interested in it. And I actually said that the prices in the UK were too high when it came to the private second-hand market. And we're going to talk some numbers in just a few seconds, so hold tight. So, I also stated that where I've lived in the past, every year you lose 20% of value. And this is assuming that you're not doing excessive miles in whatever vehicle it is, be that a motorcycle or a car or whatever. So you take 20% per year. For the first 3 years, it's got to have warranty. That's what they used to say. If it hasn't got warranty, the value just plummets. And it's actually then when I released that video, I was like, no, you're absolutely wrong. You're absolutely wrong. And right now, in the economy of May, June 2025, we're exactly where I said a year and a half, where people are saying, no, it's too much. So based on my calculations of a year and a half, 2 years ago, we are now going to go through the prices or value of the 400X. And then we're going to have a look at another motorbike. So join me with this one. Okay. So, in January 2024, the bike was sold at £5,700. That means it included 20% VAT. Let's strike the 20% VAT off. That means the retail price of the bike would have been thereabouts £4,700. So now you know that when you buy a motorbike or a brand new bike at 5,700, £1,000 goes straight to the government. That's unbelievable, isn't it? Anyway, so if I bought a 400X in January 2024 and decided to sell it in February with 0 miles, really the maximum I could expect is £4,700. Okay. So after it's a year old, it's then worth 3,800. 2 years old, it's worth 3,040. Now my bike that I'm selling is 1.5 years old with a half a year remaining warranty. And people have been saying that I should be selling the bike at £3,000. Okay. So for 2 years old, 3,040, we're sort of tickling around the right numbers that I said a year and a half ago. As it gets older, 3 years old, another 20% off 3,040, that means it should be worth £2,432. At year 4 years old, £1,945. At year 5, 1,556. What do you think to those numbers? If you bought a bike at 5,700, it could be a 400X, it could have been, I don't know, a Royal Enfield, it could have been a Vogue, it could have been a Yamaha, a Honda, a Suzuki, whatever. How would you feel that after 5 years it was worth £1,500? Yeah? Just go through those numbers again very quickly. After VAT, 0 years old, no miles, I'd be able to sell it for 4,700. After year 1 year old, 3,800. 2 years old, £3,040. 3 years old, £2,432. 4 years old, £1,945. 5 years old, 1,556. How do you feel about that? Right. Now let's have a look at a different bike. You should, if you keep track of the channel, you'll also know that I have a Triumph Bonneville T120. Currently, it's a year old. Yes? Let's say a Triumph Bonneville costs £12,500. Yeah? So you go into the shop today and buy it for £12,500. You get it delivered to your home address, and a week later, having not ridden it, you need to sell it. What's the price that you should be looking at? Well, let's take the 20% off for VAT. So that's £10,416. So that's a difference of just over £2,000. That £2,000 gone to the government. Yeah, that's the VAT. Let's say I keep it for a year, and mine is about a year old, and the value now is minus 20% off the 10,416. It's now worth £8,333. If I sold it today, 1 year old, £8,333, which means the last year of riding has cost me, and based on normal miles, yeah, no excessive miles, has cost me just over £4,000, just over £4,000 for year 1. Year 2, based on the calculations for the 400X, yeah, year 2, the value of it would be £6,666. Now, I see lots and lots of models of the T120 that's 2018. They're 7 years old for around £6,500. But we're talking here, based on the numbers for the 400X, we're talking £6,666 for a 2-year-old Triumph T120. 3 years old, take off another 20%. Bearing in mind, at 3 years old, it's not going to have any warranty. So it's probably even less on this, based on some of the countries I've lived in. Yeah? 3 years old, £5,333. How would you like that? 3,000. So after 3 years, I've lost 5,300, just over £7,000. Yeah, since I bought it at £12,500. Year 3, £5,333. 4 years old, £4,266. That's how much it should be sold for, based on the calculations of the 400X. And for 5 years old, £3,413. I've never seen a T120 for £3,413. Never. The point here is something's wrong with the economy. And ironically, since releasing that video where it won't sell, I've had a couple of queries, responded to them on Marketplace and said, it's still for sale, but they haven't come back to me. What do you think to those numbers? And let's be very clear on this. I returned back in 2019, so just 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, just before COVID struck. I came back from living abroad and realised I'd have to start paying taxes and things like that, and needed to offset some taxes, so I ended up buying bikes and cars, giving them a good service and selling them for a little profit to offset the expensive taxes of the UK. And I'm talking a little profit, not massive amounts. And it worked. I had no problem. I've had no problem right up until 2024. And ever since the middle of 2024, nothing's moving for me. And it's like, hang on a second, something's happened. What happened in the middle of 2024? Don't know. You tell me. Nothing appears to be moving particularly well. What's your experience? Are you struggling? And I know, don't come back to me and say you're selling it for too high a price. Before the middle of 2024, everything was fine. And then it's just gone, the gates have come down, woof, and it's all stopped. All of it stopped. It's getting a bit warm in here. All of it has stopped. Wow. So, you know, fortunately, I haven't got a massive stock of cars or motorbikes. I've got one motorbike because I thought something was going wrong. So I stopped buying anything. And this 400X is a good bike. Yeah, people will scream, oh, it's made in India. It's made in India, it's shit. That's not true, because Indian motorcycles are brilliant. They're brilliant. Not only are they a brilliant price, but they're cheap to service. And they keep on going. Indian bikes of the past may well have been fairly crap. But today, they are not. Royal Enfield are magnificent. Yeah, Royal Enfield are magnificent. And you're not going to stick a Triumph badge on something that's absolutely shit. Yeah, so Triumph will not do that if it was a failing engine that kept on popping and banging and everything like that, which that 400 engine does not. They wouldn't have put their name on it. They would have expected the certain quality standards to be managed against the manufacturer of such an engine, such a frame, suspension, lighting, wiring, seat, steering, wheels, tyres, etc, etc, etc. It's just food for thought. What is happening? So what's happened since the middle of 2024? Well, not a major thing, you know. Donald Trump got in 120 days ago. Was it 120 days ago? So it's not him. We did get a Labour government where things have radically changed over the last coming up 1 year. That could be it. Food's gone up and food's expensive. The cost of inflation, the cost of living has gone crazy. That's probably got something to do with it. It's food for thought. What else happened? Oh, that's right. Interest rates on mortgages, they went through the roof, didn't they? So I suspect it's an economic situation. Just rolling back to the 400X that I'm selling. So it's a year and a half old. It's got half a year's worth of warranty. It's got 3,500 miles, 3,700 miles. So it's not doing anything excessive. Asking 4,600, expecting a negotiation of 10% down to, let's say, 4,200. The point is, no one's reaching out. No one's saying, will you take £3,000? No one's doing anything. And I've always used Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, and had no issues at all. Nothing radical on Facebook Marketplace has changed. So something's changed. I suspect people are a bit concerned about spending their capital and savings. I suspect that to be the case. McCafe coffee, it's okay. It's not as nice as my coffee machine, but it's okay for when I'm stood in a car park, I guess. What do you think? You tell me. You tell me. I think if I lowered it down to £3,000, no one would buy it still. Because there's not too much distance between £3,000 and £4,500. Especially when you can go and get a new bike on PCP for £99 as a number. As a number. Yeah. Or maybe £80 or whatever. You know. I think people are scared of spending the capital. Tell me what your thoughts are in below. Hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully, you know, it was thought-provoking. Tell me what your experiences are. See you soon. Ride safely. Be kind to everyone and eat healthily. Not from McDonald's. Unless McDonald's wants to sponsor me in the future. Actually, I shouldn't have said that. Have a good one. See you soon. Bye-bye.